Very, very big and very direct. I am not a literary figure or an artist, but I believe that I am a student of human mind. Let me put it that way. But I believe that all literature and all great art, all great literature and great art forms invariably act as an act of dissent. This is a proposition I want to push in today's talk, and I will be clear about it. It doesn't mean that all writers are having dissent in mind. It doesn't mean that all artists or sculptors have dissent in mind. But the very act of creating something new and something which will last forces them to think in such a way that it is a break with tradition. It's a break with what others are doing. And to that extent, it is a dissent. Now, I want to counterpoise this against the situation in the South Asia's civilization sphere. It's a huge area and it has enormous diversity. British India, its last census, identified one of the censuses, identified, I think it was also the first census of the naval in India, 1500 languages. Ganesh Devi did a people's census only a few years ago, and it has already reduced, the number has reduced to 1200.
700.
How much?
700.
Now it is 700. Good. I heard the figure 1200 from somewhere else. This is probably one of the other censuses. Anyway, the reason is this, that nation states always seek to homogenize. They might not be deliberately doing it, but it is in the logic of a nation state that it must have a relatively more homogeneous population to communicate, to control, and also to monitor. Now, nation state did not come to this part of the world or any part of the world before 17th century. It's in the middle of 17th century, Treaty of Westphalia was signed, and Western countries, European countries, thought that it will be nice to have a less war-stricken Europe, and nation-state formation will allow you to maintain some amount of peace. So the word nation state, was not used much in English language. People call it patriotism. Mr. Johnson, the lexicographer, said that patriotism is the last refuge of all scoundrels. Now, he didn't have in mind nation state at that time, but I think Tagore was more clear. He said nations are a dangerous thing. It is not there in India. We don't have nation. We have intersecting, cross-cutting communities, which means that you are not only in one community, you are simultaneously in a number of communities. And this linkage holds you together. So, These linkages are important, and this way of looking at things, a little bit of suspicion of nation state is a healthy stuff. But I would propose to you that this idea of suspicion of nation state has already begun to emerge. In Africa, in African context, one Davidson wrote a book called The Black Man's Burden, with the subtitle The Curse of the Nation State. Because nation states in Africa destroyed communities, destroyed, disturbed tribal, solidarities, and on the whole did not do any good to the African cultures. There was no African culture, but people concocted African culture the way people sometimes concoct at one time concocted Asian culture. Anyway, that is a different thing. Now, this kind of a nation state has a built-in logic of not only minimizing diversity, even if they're committed to diversity and might talk of the proudly of diversity, but its logic is that it diminishes diversity. And hence, a civilization area with a multitude of cultures. Civilization is not fully a confederation of cultures, but a collection of cultures that are all intercommunicating. You learn what is it? Civilizations transcend nation states, and this is a very healthy sign because traditionally this was thought to be a health sign. I would put it that way. That one did not have to grudge the fact that you are picking up something from another civilization or another. But with nation states coming into play, it became a more dangerous proposition. A psychiatrist who ran away from Rwanda after the genocide there told a person who was researching genocide there that nobody in Rwanda talked of a multicultural Rwanda. The word multiculturalism was not known. The word cultural tolerance was not known. Because people believed that they lived in peace, happily. 30% of Rwandans said that their relatives in the south, among the Serbs, and Serbs said, the Rwanda Muslims said that 30% of our are related to Serbs. But there is always this logic of nation state. The Serbs wanted to provoke a more consolidated, more homogenized Serbia. And therefore they found out small differences. As if to confirm Freud's famous words that the narcissism of small differences. So usually one of the ways nation state handle dissent is by uh, picking up small differences of differences and building them up is a very important part. And usually they work on the majority, because that gives you a two-phased advantage. One, it being a majority community, you have ensured a certain political viability and survival or political party. So the order starts with that. And then you begin to convince the majority that they have been wrong in various ways. And the minorities are being appeased. Minority being appeased to continuously detracted from the due respect and due preference to the male. So after a while, the majority begins to think like a minority. And it will be so, I mean, I don't have to give examples, right? In India, 82% Hindus now begin to think like a minority. I mean, them are such an important part of the thing. So, the minority, I think they have been treated like a minority. But that is a different issue. I don't want to go into that at the moment. But I am saying that this is the way things go. Now, when I propose that all writing, all art is basically also, amongst other things, an act of dissent, it is because I have in mind, in the little cultures all over South Asian civilization area. And that area, I would say, is from Southeast Asia all the way up to the border of Persia. One Bangladeshi friend of mine insisted that even Indian culture itself is an Indo-Persian culture, partly. That's because civilizations have always borrowed from each other, and they are not afraid of that. Persian was India's official language for 700 years. 700 years. Even Shivaji, who is a Hindu hero, has his official language Persian. That they never mention. That in Bharat they never mentioned. So, but this is the way it is, because this is normal and natural. And this exchange of views create other kind of psychological byproducts. Because you feel sometimes, once you have been properly brainwashed, that the presence of that other in yourself is a dangerous thing, and it destroys your authenticity. Destroys your authenticity. And therefore, you must get rid of it. And the hostility and bitterness that comes into it is partly from that feeling of yourself, you yourself feeling contaminated and unable to shed that other within you. I hope this is clear for what I'm trying to say. So that gives the bitterness. It's a psychological state of a certain kind. Now, I would like to end my presentation by simply giving you what I consider 4 important cultural cultural strata that produces dissent in India. I have the feeling that over the at least last 200 years, or maybe a little less, 150 years, if you like to say so, all dissent has originated from one or other of these 4 strata. The first strata was Tagore's discovery in the late 19th century of Buddhist Jataka texts, which he used in two of his plays and a number of his poetry, and even some compositions of dance and other kinds of choreographic dance dramas, to to attack the caste system and talk of equity and justice. And that was the first attempt. That was first serious attempt. Now, Buddhism has been virtually extinct in India for over 1,000 years. But this has remained in the deep psychology, both in the semi-consciousness but also in the unconscious area. Every Indian, every Indian, as a crucial substratum which can be accessed for this. And from Tagore to Ambedkar's attempt to bring in Buddhism as a protest movement, and as well as a new reviving it, trying to revive it, is part of the same story. Same story. In fact, Ambedkar went so far as to say that the whole Indian history can be read as a continuous battle between Brahminism and Buddhism. So it also was an act of dissent. Tagore didn't know that he was dissenting when he was saying that, because he said, but that's the way it should be. But this is an example. And this is one of the first steps. The second step is that of medieval India, with the Bhakti movement and Sufi movement, which together worked, and there was a lot of exchange between them occasionally. The Bhakti movement and Sufi movement wrote from each other. Even Amir Khusro used the very Vaishnava line which is also there in so many bhajans and so on and so forth. Phala खुशी मेरी खा गई, मैं तो पानी भरा से छूट गई. This is not said by Rana in his poem, but he has put it in his, as a almost it's a piano in his hand, and it is in that fashion. It's the bhakti of Rana becomes a part of Sufi tradition. So that kind of thing was there. And not only this, that at least two of the great pillars of Indian civilization, Gandhi and Tagore, both defied the traditional belief that Indian unity is based on the classic Shruti texts. Change their view to say, defy it to say that the real unity of what we see in South Asia. South Asia is united, not because that was British India. South Asia is not the traditional Shruti texts, the Vedas and Upanishads, but medieval India, where even the epics, the various versions of epics, various versions of the exchange, the Bhakti movement, the Sufi movement is the one. It took Tagore some courage to do so, because he was a Brahma Samajist, which believed only in giving priority to the Vedas and Upanishads. But he defied it to say that the Indian unity is based on the medieval India. So medieval India is a very dark age of India. These many Indians have started saying this following the European description of medieval Europe as a dark age. If Europe had a dark age, India also had a dark age. But actually, one of the brightest age, most creative age of India was the medieval India. So anyway, so the hundreds of Ramans written by different languages of India, different versions of Mahabharata, even the modern epic written by probably the only modern epic written in India in the last 150 years, Jyotirandhara's mental Mahabharata, where Rama and Lakshmana are the villains and Ravan, Ravan and Meghnad are the heroes. That's that part of the story. So this is also this, and this is actually Muslim. Some people suspect now partly got his idea because both in Tamil Nadu and in North Bengal there's a huge number of people who are Ravan worshippers. So this kind of deviation, this kind of cultural play, so to speak, interplay, was common. The third one thing was this third and the fourth became very conscious because there was a crucial part which British rule played. East India Company's culture was very hyper masculine, and they wanted to depict Indians and particularly Bengalis and Hindus as feminine, and it divided Indians by martial communities and non-martial communities. But the fact of the matter is this, that India has always a very old tradition, the incarnation of Shiva as an Ardhanarishwara. So the practice of Ardhanarishwara was a crucial part of Shaivite beliefs, and that very fact that it was there allowed a lot of play in different ways. It also ensured that androgynous belief in androgyny, the feminine feminine strain in a masculine man, and a masculine strain in a woman, which were a natural part of this civilization. But in this new context, it became a matter of debate, and it was like some Vivekananda made a very sharp attack on Buddhism as a religion which made Hindus effeminate. Whereas I have to point out there at one phase of psychology, they were very much interested in creativity, and one of the best predictors was turned out to be the androgynous strain, both in men and women. Even the great Nobel laureates and other scientists now, when compared with people who are great physicists but not Nobel laureates, the difference also was clear. The Nobel laureates were in sciences were often more androgynous, not often, consistently more androgynous than the similarly women. So, and the last fourth one is that the balance between the rural and the urban changed dramatically after British rule. This is no longer something subliminal, mostly for cultural study. It became actually a practice because the idea was now to modernize India with the help of the metropolitan cities growing up. Calcutta, Bombay, Madras, many. But and the agency was even though at that time more than 80% of the people lived in villages in South Asia. Uh, the agency for all changes became shifted to this urban metropolitan cities, and it never returned to the village. Whereas in India, traditionally, this balance was always maintained. Even in Shudrak's William Mitchell Katika, the play, there are dialogues between the amongst villagers and city dwellers. So villagers consider city dwellers sly, conspiratorial, dangerous, money-minded chaps. And the city dwellers consider villagers illiterate, superstitious, unable unable to manage their own affairs, and so on and so forth. So this dialogue that both at a level of equality would blame each other had a certain kind of balance. But that balance was disturbed. The agency shifted entirely to the cities. And we are dealing with that situation even now. What the villagers need, nobody asks the villagers. The scientists in the laboratory decide what kind of crops they will grow or not grow. So this happened. But presenting Russia was destroyed that way, and presenting China was badly damaged by that practice. So I have given you 4 sources of dissent, but you don't have to go by that, because as I have put it at the beginning, that the person who is writing or that produces book or the novel which will survive, which may make a mark, is unlikely to be concerned with this. He is telling or she is telling a story. But nonetheless, in the process of that creativity, that creating a new book which survives is itself an act of discipline. And this is one of the main functions of literature, exactly as it is also whether known or unknown, conscious or unconscious, is also the main concern of any other great art form. Thank you very much for